Welcome back to another great game of CEDH. Today we have a super interesting back and forth games of Rags and Riches. Also, reminder that I'll be at Commander Sealed coming up soon, and if you mention the word Riel, you'll get a 10% discount off your purchase. Starting us off today is Noah on Urza, Lord Artificer. This is mono blue artifact control, aiming to control the board with stax pieces such as Winter Orb or Static Orb, while breaking parity with your commander, ultimately aiming for infinite mana through various means to win the game. Next up is Griffin on Tymna Tana. This deck is otherwise known as Blood Pod. It's a meta crusher deck, and tuned to specific meta, it can often hold the entire table down, but only if tuned properly. In the third spot, we've hidden on Marneus Calgar. This is all about them tokens. So if you want to play Smothering Tide deck, this is the list for you. And bringing up the rear is Gabe on Thrasios Vialsmasher. This is Cruel Control, aiming to use Vialsmasher and a Curiosity effect to keep card parity while controlling the board until you can assemble one of your own combos.
Alright, block there, kill that. Oh, that is trample. Guess I'm just dead on board.
Noah starts off the game with a Mishra's Workshop into a Jeweled Amulet and a Chrome Mox. He imprints a Pact of Negation and keeps it going as he has a Voltaic Key and charges up his amulet, ending his turn with the Pithing Needle, naming Thrasios. Griffin plays and cracks a Wooded Foothills for a Taiga and a Sol Ring. Hidden has a Sea of Clouds and laments not going first as he casts a Mystic Remora. Gabe plays out a Polluted Delta and cracks it for a Trop, tapping the land for a Deathrite Shaman. Noah has a Buried Ruins as land for turn, but seeing as he already emptied his hand last turn, passes it there. Griffin untaps and casts a Collector Oof. Noah does have a response, but it's only for a Mystical Tutor. Hidden draws has Noah goes searching, unfortunately just banking on the future as he finds a Time Twister to put on top, although a Sink into Stupor was also considered. Hidden pays for his fish and plays out a City of Brass, but passes it there. Gabe has an untapped starting town and for 2 casts a Devoted Druid. Noah draws the Tutor Twister but has to pass it there. Griffin has a Carpet of Flowers and feeds a card to Hidden. He then heads to his second main and activates the carpet for green to cast an Ignoble Hierarch, with Hidden at end step Mystical Tutoring to find a Rhystic Study. Hidden will then let his fish go as he plays out an Exotic Orchard, casting the Tutored Rhystic, with Gabe at end step using his Deathrite to eat Griffin's land. Gabe has a command tower and casts his commander Vialsmasher, as the Pithing Needle is shutting down Thrasios, with Gabe paying the 1 off the Rhystic. Noah manages to find a Manamo off the top and is now only a mana away from that Twister, as he once again passes. Griffin will activate his carpet for a white mana, as for 3 he casts his own commander Tymna. This will give a card to Hidden, but the commander resolves, as Griffin moves to combat, sending the Oof at Hidden, with Hidden taking 3 due to the Exalted, and Griffin on his second main paying a life to draw, ending his turn with an Ancient Tomb. Hidden shocks in a Watery Grave, as for 2 mana he casts a Cabal Ritual into his commander Marneus, ending his turn with a Mox Opal. Gabe has a Wooded Foothills as he fetches out a Commercial District, keeping the card on top from the Surveil trigger, and ending his turn with its other commander Thrasios. Noah draws, misses on land, and passes. Griffin will make a red off the carpet and cast a Professional Facebreaker. He gives a card to Hidden as he also realized we missed a Vialsmasher trigger, as Noah takes 2, with Griffin compounding the damage with an Exalted Tymna to hit him for another 3, with Griffin then paying a life to draw off Tymna and gaining a treasure off the Facebreaker. Hidden plays out a Tundra as land for turn and for 2 casts a Lotho. He then follows that up with a Dark Ritual, which triggers Lotho to lose Hidden a life and draw him a card off the treasure, with Hidden then using the floating mana to help cast a Grim Hireling. Hidden heads to combat and sends Marneus at Noah for 3 double striking damage. Hidden will make 2 treasures off each connect and draws 2 cards as well, with Hidden on his second main activating the Hireling to sacrifice 2 treasures to kill off the Devoted Druid. Gabe plays out a Bayou into an Arcane Signet. He pays for a Rhystic and has a Vialsmasher trigger, which once again pings Noah. Noah draws and has a tapped Saprazan Scary as land for turn, with Griffin at end step Abrupt Decaying the Ristic, drawing hidden one last card. Griffin then untaps and uses his carpet for 2 green to help power out a Vivian on the hunt, to which Hidden forces it, exiling a Fairy Mastermind to counter the Planeswalker. Griffin then heads to combat and sends a 3-power Tymna back at Noah, with Griffin making a treasure off the connect and paying a life to draw off Tymna as well. Hidden has a mana confluence and casts a Springleaf Drum into a Talisman of Dominance. This triggers Lotho to lose him a life, gain him a treasure, and draw him another card. With Hidden then sending Marneus back at Noah for 6 life, 4 treasures, and 2 more cards. With Gabe at end step courting for 2. Vial will once again hit Noah, as Hidden casts a Sink into Stupor to bounce the spell back to hand. Gabe plays out a Taiga's land and recasts the chord, this time where X equals 3. Vial this time hits Hidden, with Gabe then finding a tandem lookout, to which soulbounds with Vialsmasher as it enters. Noah untaps, casts his commander Urza, who enters and makes a construct. And now it looks like mana isn't the issue, as he can then tap all of his rocks for blue to cast the Soul Ring. This will trigger Lotho to gain Hidden a treasure and a draw, with Noah then following that up with a Time Twister. Everyone then shuffles it up and draws a fresh 7, with Gabe at end step Vamp Tutoring. This triggers Vialsmasher to ping Noah for 1 and trigger the Lookout to draw him a card. The Vamp then resolves, as Gabe then finds a card to put on top. Griffin will make 2 white off his carpet as he plays out a Bayou as land for turn and Enlighten Tutors, to which Noah mentals it. Griffin then uses up his other white mana to Swords Marneus, which is his second spell as Lotho triggers and Hidden gains a treasure and a draw. But the swords happen as Marneus is exiled, and Griffin then casts a Magus of the Moon, to which Gabe responds with a red elemental blast targeting Urza. There's a Vialsmasher trigger, although Noah responds to it with a mana drain. The spell is then countered as Vial then pings Noah and Gabe draws a card, and lastly the Magus resolves. Hidden has an untapped Godless Mountain and for 3 casts a Stride Hanger Automaton, but unfortunately doesn't have any useful colored mana, as Hidden then sends the Hireling at Gabe for 3, making 2 more treasures and a Thopter. Gabe has a Gaia's Mountain as land for turn, and unfortunately he realizes there aren't any lands in the grave, or his death right, as he makes a deal with Hidden to try and find an answer to the Magus, as he sends the Lookout Hidden's way, who doesn't block. Gabe then draws off the connect, but doesn't have anything, as he discards a Bloodstained Mire due to hand size. Noah will gain 1 colorless mana on his main phase, as he then plays out Academy Mountain as land for turn. He can then cast a Displacer Kitten, to which Gabe will respond by flashing in an Ophidian Eye. This will trigger Vialsmasher to ping Hidden for 3 and draw him another card. But both the enchantment and the kitten then resolve, as Noah then can cast a Copy Artifact. This triggers Lotho to gain Hidden a treasure and a Thopter, with Noah choosing to blink his commander with the cat. Noah makes another construct as the Copy Artifact enters as the Stride Hanger Automaton, continuing with the Fabricate. He flickers Urza once again to make a construct and a Thopter as he goes searching for an artifact. And while he goes searching, the table realizes how much Noah is the problem now, as Noah then finds a Reality Chip which he cast. Although he quickly realizes his mistake as he can't reconfigure it due to the OOP and has to pass it there. Griffin untaps and can't use his carpet due to the Blood Moon. He has a Godless Mountain as land for turn and decides the Magus isn't helping anymore, as he casts a Diabolic Intent, sacrificing the creature. Griffin will find a card to hand and then cast an Arena Rector. This triggers Lotho for a treasure and a Thopter, but unfortunately he can't get through in combat as he passes it there. Hidden has a Verdant Catacombs as land for turn and starts off his turn eating the oof with the Hireling. Hidden then attempts the same with the Displacer Kitten, to which Noah then fires off a Word of Invention, where X equals 1. Urza is flickered to make another construct and a Thopter, with Noah finding a Grafdigger's Cage off the Word. The cat is then killed, with Hidden now trying to take out the Vialsmasher, which will then prompt Gabe to cast a Demonic Consult from hand, triggering Vial to ping Griffin for 1 and draw Gabe 2 cards. The Mnemonic then resolves as Gabe names Vivi and starts exiling, luckily with the creature not being on the top 6 and relatively close to the top. Vial is then taken out as Hidden then fetches out a scrubland and casts his commander Marneus. Next up is combat as Hidden sends the Grim Hireling at Gabe, 2 Thopters head at Noah, and 1 Thopter heads at Griffin. Noah will trade off 1 Thopter, but overall everyone gets hit, which triggers Hidden's Grim Hireling to make 6 treasures and a Thopter. Although responding to this, Gabe flashes in a Fairy Mastermind, unfortunately forgetting that this is his second spell, as Lotho triggers, making Hidden a treasure, a Thopter, and his second draw for the turn. Hidden then makes a treasure and a Thopter off the Hirelings, and draws once again. Hidden then moves to his second main and casts a Warren Soul Trader, which lets Hidden sacrifice a Thopter for a life, making a treasure, a Thopter, and another card drawn. Which Hidden then can start doing, converting his tapped Thopters to untapped ones, and starts digging. Hidden then puts an Imperial Seal on the stack, to which Gabe fierces it, and Hidden fires off a Swan Song. Griffin will take this opportunity to sacrifice his treasures to his Facebreaker in the hopes of some sort of interaction, but he doesn't find anything as the Swan Song resolves, giving Gabe a bird. With Gabe's last active defiance being the activation of the Fairy to draw everyone 1 more card. Although it doesn't change anything as Hidden then can find a Hullbreaker Horror to put on top. Hidden then can sacrifice a Thopter to draw and cast a tutored creature. Although Hidden doesn't have another 0-drop just yet, as he takes a few more draws by sacrificing his creatures, until he finds a Tainted Pact, which he then starts exiling off the top until he finds a Mystical Tutor, which lets them find a Demonic Tutor, and with a Soul Ring for infinite mana and Marneus lets him draw his deck and win with a Thassa's Oracle. Game review. Man, that game was close at the end, but I definitely got lucky when Griffin realizes how much of a threat Noah was becoming, and inadvertently gave me the win. I looked through my list and I had no way of removing either the Oof or the Magus after losing my commander. Although, funnily enough, another key point of the game actually was that Time Twister, as when I reviewed the footage, Griffin was holding up both a Blood Moon and a Lavinia in hand, and had he been able to make it to his turn and deploy both of those spells, the game would have been sealed. But that's the risk when you play and remove stax pieces. You might just end up giving someone else the game. Thanks to everyone that joined for the game, and before everyone leaves, I want to thank our special Patreon members, Slyfox and Holy Septic, for the support of the channel, along with all of our other Patreon supporters as well. And remember, never give up, even if you're dead on board. I'll see you guys later.